Abstract SFX.
We're good to go.
Welcome, Spookies! And welcome everybody who has decided to come to our rebooted series, Slaughter Film Survival. This is Season 1, Episode 1, Something is Wrong. The podcast is brought to you by Abstract SFX Studios. Before we jump into this week's episode, warning, viewer discretion is advised. We will be talking about murder, and more murder. So some of the topics may not be suitable for our younger audience members. Also, spoiler alert, we will be discussing scenes and dialogue from Orphan and Orphan First Kill. So if you haven't seen those movies yet, what are you doing? Go grab your popcorn, watch the movies, and come back. But let's not forget drinks, because today I am having Chupa Chups melon cream sparkling soda. So that'll be fun. As always, we're your hosts, Jade
and Scotty. So, each episode we travel through the silver screen discussing popular and obscure horror movies.
Together, we'll be analyzing their backstory, physical feats, abilities, and any weaknesses to determine our best survival chance. Will we rise as victors or fall as villains?
You decide.
You decide.
So, today we are joined by Rhombuser.
Hello.
And hopefully Tittles will be joining us.
The ghost of abstract. Tittles. Oh. Where are we going this week, Scott?
So this week we will be headed into Hamden, Connecticut for Orphan. What will happen in our situation of adopting a new child for the day? We will have the challenge of handling this child who is not what they appear to be. Can we hold it together as their clever, manipulative nature may in fact cause us to be against each other? Esther knows how to get under your skin. As we discuss her game plan, it could appear more difficult than it seems, but we won't take her for granted. Let's do this, guys.
All right. So, diving right into the backstory. For those of you who have never seen Orphan, this is a psychological thriller. Definitely recommend watching it. It's personally one of my favorites, and I think you two enjoyed the movie last night, correct?
Yeah, everyone.
Yes. Yes, it was a good movie.
Including a couple other ghosts that didn't show up today, but they did see some of the movie, and it's definitely got some interesting plot points, and we are going to dive right into those. Yep. So, our main focus today is the slasher, or, as she's really known, Lena Klamer. Lena Klamer was born on April 20th in 1976, but was diagnosed with a gland disorder that gives her disproportionate dwarfism. So, although she's a lot older than she appears, she looks like a 9-year-old.
And she camouflages it well.
And she camouflages it very well. We'll be showing pictures and things throughout. Lena was actually born in Estonia in Russia. Pretty early on, Lena's mother died of AIDS, and her father took advantage of her. After her father grew tired of her, he got a new stepmom for her, and she ended up killing both of them.
And that's where her killing spree sort of began. It's like when she doesn't get what she's hoping for, or she gets pressed or made fun of or something, she's out for blood.
Yep, so she ended up going onto the streets of Estonia as a sex worker until she was actually caught by police. But because of her dwarfism, she convinced the police that she was actually a little girl. They ended up taking her to an orphanage in Estonia where she was adopted by her first family. Normally, Lena would just go and take what she could and then leave, but this time was different as she became obsessed with the father figure in her life. When she tried to seduce him and that didn't work, she ended up killing his entire family and burning the house down. So then she got sent to the Sarn Institute, which is a mental hospital.
And what's interesting about Lena is, depending on how long you've known her, how long you've been around her, if you get her alone in the same room, she has a way of finding out things. So if she's alone, she could like pick apart your past or stuff she knows. But if she's pressed like into the what is it, the psychiatrist room or something, she could really play it off like nothing's wrong with her. Like she's fine. She doesn't have this crazy past and stuff. So I thought that was interesting about the movie because
she's a mass manipulator. She will attune herself in different personality depending on who she's around. Like in the movie, she was very sweet and kind and shy around the father, but she was a little bit more harsh and psychotic around the mom, forcing them to be pinned against each other and what was actually going on. So this is where our movie kind of got cut off. We didn't actually get to watch the whole Orphan First Kill, so unfortunately Rhombus and Tittles did not see this one, but me and Scott once she was at Sarn Institution, it was discovered how dangerous she was. They ended up restraining her in a straitjacket, and she would fight against it to the point of actually bleeding and causing herself permanent scar damage on her skin. So when she finally broke out of the asylum, she ends up wearing a collar around her neck and her wrists to hide the scars. How she ended up escaping was one of the male guards was actually infatuated with Lena. Probably for all the wrong reasons. She ended up tricking him into coming into her locked room. She ended up killing him, stealing the key, and then getting in somebody else's car, going home with her, and then she ended up killing her. And here's where the master plan came into play.
That was a First Kill movie.
That was her first kill, Well, no, it wasn't. The first kill was the house being burnt down. But no, her dad. But
that was
she's had a few.
The prequel movie.
Yes, the prequel, Orphan First Kill. This is her. So, back to her master plan. So, she just killed this poor lady that she got into the trunk of her car, and she didn't know it. She gets home, she kills this person. She ends up changing her outfit and decides that she's ready to flee the country. So, what she ends up doing is going onto this lady's computer and looking up missing children. She finds a child that she closely resembles, named Esther. So she wanders off into a park in the middle of the night. The police find her and ask her where her family is. She says America. So she ends up starting to play off this character that she is actually Esther Albright. This child that went missing in America. So the parents are obviously glad to hear that their child is all right because I believe she was missing for a couple of years.
Let's also not forget that she's pretty talented at piano and like painting and all that. So
yep, she is very artistically intelligent and also very mature for her age, unless you knew what her age was.
Yes, that's a point, yeah.
Yes. So, this family ends up flying out to Estonia to see Esther. They bring her back to America, and this is where her major plan begins. So, she goes home to her new mom and dad, Katie and Alan Albright, and their older son, Gunnar.
Yep.
So she's working her way around. She's pretending her best to be Esther, although, however, she doesn't have all the information that Esther would know. So she kind of is good at learning things based off of sneaking around and hearing things. For example, she made an oopsies when she was on the plane. The mom was showing her pictures of before she went missing, and she said she couldn't wait to meet she couldn't wait to see her grandma. Little did she know that her grandma was already dead before she went missing. So she does make mistakes every once in a while because obviously she doesn't know all the information. She picks it up along the way. She's really good at converting into the character that she is playing.
Right.
So she gets to this house and she's living her best life. She plans on stealing from this family because they are quite well off. But then that obsession with the father figure kicks in again, and she decides that she wants to stay because, much like her, he also has a talent for painting, so they can spend more time together. Scott, do you remember the plot twist in that movie? The one little rip in Esther's plan in Orphan First Kill?
The only thing is that the first Orphan movie is sort of fresh in my head now. So
Go ahead. All right.
I guess I sort of forgot about it, but
So the mother and the son, Gunnar and Katie, they already knew that that Lena was not Esther, because and Esther did not actually go missing. She was killed in an accident with Gunnar. The husband, Alan, he didn't know. So he fully believes that Lena is Esther, while the other two know that she is actually just playing along with the role. So she gets threatened into staying because Esther can't go missing twice.
Yeah, and at first, I think before that, they kind of wanted her to stay anyway, or
yeah, until they figured out who she was.
Right.
So it is later discovered by Katie and Gunnar that the person playing Esther is actually Lena Klamer, who came from the Sarn Institute, and she's actually a very dangerous person who is not 9 years old. She's actually 33, and they actually find it quite disturbing that she's pretending to be their kid. At the same time, they can't disclose that that's not their kid, because then the father would get suspicious. Well, what actually happened to Esther?
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of stuck in this situation. The mother is keeping a really close eye on Lena to make sure that she's playing the part. Quote from the movie, "You decided you wanted to play this part, and now you're stuck with it."
Because I remember
the mother,
she tried to like poison their dinner and.
Yep, she tried to poison her dinner, but she didn't eat it. She kind of already knew. And then in return, Esther put a rat in her smoothie.
Oh yeah.
The same rat that got poisoned by the food.
Yeah.
So the mother and Gunnar had plans to kill Esther and make it look like a suicide attempt so that they could get her out of the way. Because it's a double-ended sword. They know that Esther came from a mental asylum in Estonia, and she knows that they killed the real Esther. So it's a double-ended blade. They're both basically trying to help each other out. But at one point, the father goes away on a business trip, and they decide that's the best time to deal with Lena. However, that plan did not go as well. They were originally going, like I said, they were going to try to kill her and make it look like a suicide, because that's the best way that they could, explain it to Alan. Like, she was already so much trouble. She, stole the car. Lena stole the car. She's smoking in the car, driving it wherever the hell she's going. The police stop her. They grab her. They bring her home. And then Katie is just absolutely livid at this situation. Mm-hmm. So that's the night that Katie and Gunnar decided that they were going to kill Lena. However, obviously there was a sequel to this, so we know that that's not what actually happened. Lena ends up actually taking Gunnar's crossbow and shooting and killing him with it. Katie, for whatever reason, let the house start on fire. And at one point, they're struggling, and she's trying to kill Lena, and Lena's trying to escape, and they're both hanging on the edge of the roof. They're hanging off the side of the house. Alan comes home because he was already worried about the phone call he received from the police saying that Esther had gone missing, so he was already on his way home. So he gets home, and he sees his wife and his child hanging off the roof. He climbs through the house up onto the window, and he's trying to help. Katie loses her grip, and she ends up smashing her head on the pavement and dying. He ends up rescuing Esther, who reveals to him that she's actually Lena. He's so disgusted, he tripped and fell off the roof, and he died. So the building went up in flames. Esther barely escaped. Yes, Scott.
So I was just going to clarify that the fire and how it started, it was a casualty of Lena and Trisha's all-out bloody battle that covers every inch of the house. They leave a kitchen burner on and an oven mitt catches fire, and that's how it started.
Because I said it was an accident. I knew she didn't set her own house on fire.
Right. So it was during
so the house was set on fire accidentally.
Yes. But during the whole fight with everything.
Yeah, there was a lot of running around all over the place.
Yeah.
So both of them are dead. The house is on fire. Gunnar's dead. The firemen show up and rescue Esther from the house, and she gets placed in another orphanage in America, and that is where Orphan takes place. Her in that orphanage for girls.
Hmm.
So, now Rhombuster seems to be all catched up.
Yep.
Any questions so far?
Nah, not at the moment.
Seems pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, that it does.
Do you guys want to do the other half of the backstory and what you saw yesterday, since it's fresh in your minds?
Well, like I said, I don't know. I'm not the best with names. Kate and John, right?
Yep, Kate and John, that's the mom and dad in Orphan.
Yeah, so after she had a problem with birthing her child, Kate, which,
The third one.
yeah, her third one, she's very torn up about it, very upset about it, has nightmares. That's where the movie begins. So they decide to go to a home for deaf in Hamden, Connecticut to look to adopt a child. So when they first get there, John kind of wanders off into the orphanage and he goes upstairs. He opens the door. He hears, well, Lena, Esther, singing, and he's intrigued by it. So he kind of looks and then he decides to maybe go back, but then he hears her say, like, hello. And then he goes back in to meet her. He noticed that she's painting and he's just like, oh, did you paint all these? These are great. And she's like, yeah. So they get to talking and she's very intrigued by her for sure. And then Kate walks in. He's like, meet my, oh, what are they married, or, meet Kate.
Yes.
So then,
Yep, me and my wife Kate.
yeah, so she comes in, they shake hands, and just sort of hit it off from there. They talk about her a little bit. She tells him that she's different. She's different than the other girls. She's kind of like on her own, isn't really socialized that much. When they ask why she's not down in the party, so, but they hit it off. She goes home with them.
3 weeks later.
3 weeks later, sorry, and then
No, it's okay. I was just putting in that little side note that it was 3 weeks before she actually came home with them.
so their other two children that they have, one of them is deaf and hard of hearing, so she does sign language. And then the other son is sort of kind of like a young teenager, still playing video games. And
Sorry.
but as soon as they bring her home, the oldest son is like, "Why is she dressed like that?" And they're like, "Be quiet, don't." So
Daniel.
Daniel, yeah. So
Daniel is not taken with his new sister.
right, so I mean, it seems like Esther or Lena, Esther, they know her as Esther, but it's Lena. She really likes her new room. She, just likes it a lot. Incorporates herself into it. Um, so then it's sort of as she's getting and meeting the, getting into the family, kind of getting comfortable with them. It's time for her to start her schooling. And when the first day of school comes, they think her outfit's a little bit out of the ordinary, but she says, I like to be different. I'm comfortable in this. So she walks into her first day of school and gets made fun of instantly, and the death stare starts. Like, she is not happy.
She texted me. She wants her outfit back.
That's the quote, yep. So, that was a bad start for her in school. If you'd like to, you want to go a little bit in the story, Cyrus?
Could you just imagine being like 33 years old and going to school?
Nope. That would be, that's like now. If I were to go back, like going back to elementary school.
Right? Oh, kids were so mean. Yeah, so she's trying to fit in. She's kind of playing odds with the parents. She really likes John. She doesn't really like Kate all that much. So she's trying to pin them against each other. And she was successfully getting away with it.
Yeah.
She would like mention certain things that Kate did or mention certain things that John was doing, and they would be fighting. And Kate was very suspicious of Esther for the fact that the American orphanage had barely any information on her. The Estonian orphanage never heard of her. And the only clue that Kate had was she looked at the Bible that Esther's always carrying around. And in the back was
The Sarn Institute.
an inscription that said Sarn Institute.
Right.
So she ends up getting a hold of them, but at a little bit too late, because at this point, Esther's already threatened both of her children
And when she calls
Neither
them,
of them want to say anything. Huh?
when she calls the Sarn Institute, they're like, "This isn't an orphanage. This is a mental hospital." Like,
Right?
yeah.
The
So.
problem was that she needed somebody that spoke English, and unfortunately, Estonia is in Russia, so they mostly just spoke Russian over there.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Esther has already killed Sister Abigail, who was the head of the orphanage that she was adopted from. Sister Abigail came to the house to warn them that trouble has a way of following Esther around. The mom took this warning seriously, the dad did not.
And that was
She
crazy.
killed Sister Abigail.
Of killing of Sister Abigail was, I don't remember the girl's name who
Max.
Max, yeah.
Max.
So that whole scene, it was like she was so innocent. Like she had all of her innocence. She was so nice and sweet. Like she didn't know how to take in the situation of her hammering someone to death. Help me get them, hide them and all that. And it's like she helped. She threw him her into the road, almost to get hit by a car. So it's like she didn't know how to process the situation. She kind of just did what she was told because she was scared.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting thing though, I did notice like in the personal like relationships that Esther had with each individual, she was actually still very caring about Max. Like,
Definitely.
yeah, she technically almost killed Max in a car accident, but like she was very sweet. You could always see her like holding her. She's like, "I'm gonna protect you." It's almost like she had like a motherly instinct on Max to protect her because she was so innocent.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, so she killed Sister Abigail, hid the evidence in Daniel's treehouse, which was locked because Daniel was being very rude to Esther only because of the way that she was eating.
Like,
I don't
no,
know. He was frustrated because he was getting bullied at school
I'm gonna
because
pick
of her.
this steak up and just, no, I'd like to cut.
Can you help the carnivore cut his meat? So yeah, so Esther goes on a little bit of a killing spree. She actually ended up breaking a child's leg on the playground because she bullied her in school.
Mm-hmm.
The little Bo Peep girl, she ended up breaking her leg.
She's very good at hiding.
Sister Abigail.
She's very good at hiding and just popping out when you least expect her.
That is true. That is one of her. She is very stealthy.
Right.
Daniel went up to the treehouse because his sister Max told him that something wasn't right through drawings. She showed all the incidents that she had witnessed. He went up to the treehouse only to be locked inside and have it set on fire by Esther. Now, he does escape, but he sustains a really bad head injury from falling at such a height. He's knocked out.
It's a neck injury and internal
neck injury, yes.
Internal injuries. Yeah.
And internal bleeding. Right, it was his neck, not his head. That was Katie. Katie had the head injury.
Yeah.
So he ends up going to the hospital. They're all worried, but Kate knows at this point that Esther's doing something, and nobody believes her. They think she still has her drinking problem after her child died, and Max was in an accident unrelated.
Max actually saved Daniel in that scene too.
She did. Max did save Daniel because Daniel was about to get a boulder to the head.
A brick, yeah, like one of those.
How did the mom not know that there was a huge ass fire outside? Like, I know she was on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, the poor kid's screaming for his mother, and she's just like on the phone trying to get somebody in English from Russia to tell her what the hell's going on. And she finally looks outside the window. I don't want to say she was a bad mother, but she was kind of unattentive at times.
Well, there's
which
that.
Seemed to be
some of the timing of the things were just like, how is this happening right as she's trying to get in touch on the phone? It's like,
yeah. So Daniel goes to the hospital.
What does Rhombus
Families. Think? Yeah, what does Rhombus think? You've been very quiet this episode. This backstory is just intense.
To put it simply, Kate had the equivalent to a 2 out of 100 awareness. Because, like, how do you not notice the fire out of the corner of your eye? How do you not even notice that?
A fire that big, like it burnt down the whole treehouse.
And that treehouse is probably not even 100 yards from her house.
So it's
how did they not notice?
So it's like Kate did have awareness problems because they were trying to say, like you said, the drinking problem, and she's got to like take responsibility for things she's doing when, she wasn't really causing things, But there was a part in that to where she definitely needed to be more vigilant, for sure.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree.
But also Esther, or Lena, was very manipulative. Like, there was the thing where her dad's like, why don't you do something nice for mommy? And she grabs the roses, which are actually roses that were planted with the ashes of their unborn third daughter, Jessica. So she ended up taking those roses and giving them to Kate, knowing exactly what she was doing, but playing it off as innocent. Kate grabbed her arm and she was screaming. Later that night, she goes out into the garage, puts her arm in, like, the wedge?
It's in a vice clamp.
A vice? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that would be a
So
vice.
she puts her arm in there and she just twists it until her arm breaks. Then she starts calling out to her dad that something's wrong. He sees the bruises, takes her to the hospital, realizes her arm's broken, blames Kate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that was a rough scene.
Very rough scene. So how would we deal with Lena Claimer?
Yeah, we're up to this part, right? We're up to our part. What are we gonna do? Like,
well, yes, I apologize for the very long backstory, but this is 2 movies that we were covering. There's a lot of backstory and timeline as to where she's been and what she's been up to.
I would say to start off with this, with our team, whoever we're involved with in this survival part.
I'm gonna say it's us 3 because Tittles is still off haunting somewhere.
One of us has to try our best to get on her good graces. Like, one of us has to try.
It's gonna be one of you 2.
Yeah, we have to be her friend. She has to like us in some way. Because if she hates us, we're gonna have a rough time in this.
She's already gonna hate me based off of the fact that I'm a woman.
I mean, you're good at sign language. You can pretend like,
Not the point. She's not gonna like me because I'm a woman. Her end goal is companionship. She wants somebody to be with.
But you look so young like her. She'll like you.
Robinson, do you agree with Scott, or do you think that I'm right?
I think what we need to do is be witty. We just gotta have our wits about us.
Yes.
Just don't be big dumb.
Don't be big dumb.
Oh my gosh.
I love when he just avoids answering that question.
All you'd have to do is do some singing with her. She'd like you.
Just don't be like
Don't get caught having relations in the kitchen and you're all good.
Yeah, that's
just don't have just don't pull a Stephen Heathcliff and be like a stupid.
Yeah. Control yourself.
Control yourself.
Yeah, so I think I'm still sticking to my gut, which is going to be she's going to try to kill me off first. Because her end goal is one of you 2.
What if I just
men is her thing?
Yes.
Yeah. She's straight, but she's crazy straight.
Yeah. But I don't know. You're good with companionship. I'm not giving up on you yet. I don't know. I don't think she's gonna just try to kill you right out. But if you think
she'd probably try turning me against. She'd probably try turning you 2 against me.
Well, that's not gonna happen because I have too much experience and other things to not do that. So.
Yeah.
Hey, the kid said you kicked a puppy. Is that true? What? No.
You gotta believe me. I drop kicked that orphan in self-defense.
To be fair, though, it is later discovered that she's not actually a kid. She's like 33 years old. I still don't know, though, because like she does technically have dwarfism.
A rare form of
it. Okay, I'll rephrase it. The adult orphan. The lonely adult.
Oh my god.
In self-defense.
So your plan is to just drop kick her?
No, I'm not gonna drop kick her immediately. No, but like putting ourselves in that perspective, we just gotta keep an eye on her, essentially.
We should just film her in the act and then send it to another
have like body
or something. And
just like plant cameras all over the facility.
I think what we might have to do, we have to fight fire with fire. We have to match her stealthiness.
Scott, I'm confused. I just got this footage. Why are you eating mayonnaise at 2 a.m.? Explain yourself.
Mayonnaise.
You're just
It's
sitting there
nothing.
scooping mayonnaise out of a container with a spoon, just like shoveling it into your mouth, just like sitting there like, oh, mayonnaise.
Rhombusers up at 4 a.m. making a protein shake.
Just sitting there, you just hear the blender just like, what are you doing? You're like, making a protein shake. I'm hungry.
You better make sure there's not a rat in there.
I feel like the second we find her out,
protein.
we have to make a plan. Like when we find
You have to pretend like we don't know anything.
Yeah, which we can do, and yeah.
Who's to say I don't cook the rat and put it in the shake for extra protein?
We have to use our mind power.
That's nasty. That's nasty.
Hey,
That's
I had Gordon Ramsay cook it, so it's okay.
Oh well, in that case.
In that case, I'll eat it.
Right. So I'm thinking our best course of action is to play dumb and pretend like we don't know what's going on until we actually did come up with a plan, which would probably be to call the authorities while she's at school.
Yeah.
And let them know that there is a child in our house who's actually a 33-year-old Russian woman that escaped from a mental institution.
So we get to the situation like, we have the school surrounded. Like,
she's gonna take so many hostages.
We'll just send. We'll just send border patrol. Deport her.
Go back. Go back to the institute.
We'll deport her back out to the gulag.
We're like,
yeah, I really feel like we wouldn't have to do much because, like, the only reason, in my opinion, the only reason why John got killed by her in the first place was because he had an entire bottle of wine.
Yeah, he got drunk.
That was also laced. Because there ain't no way you're getting drunk off just a bottle of wine.
Unless he's never drank in his life.
It may
or
he
must be a light.
I don't know. They got strong wines out there. Who knows?
That man, like, he's a decent sized guy, so the only explanation is that he cannot handle alcohol.
Yeah. Especially
because I'm not sure if she laced it or not. I don't know that.
Laced. Well, with the scene of him looking at her, her face was getting all warped as like he was totally.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like even when I drank a lot, I could still pretty much see clearly. Like, yeah, I was a little fuzzy, but my vision wasn't warped to the point where I'm like, you look like a goldfish. Like,
like, oh, you look like a seatbelt.
Yeah, so I think he probably got drugged. So we just gotta stay sober and stay vigilant.
I wonder why too. It's like Lena was the only one really who found the gun in this movie. Like nobody else. She was the only one who found it to utilize the gun. Like up until the end when Max had a chance, but it's like she.
John was drunk, and at the time he didn't know that Esther was actually Lena. Yeah. Kate was driving on her way home. At that point, her first concern was, oh crap, I just hit the house. And then, oh my god, where's John and Max?
Yeah, and then she freaked out because she saw him die on the floor. So,
that's pretty traumatic.
You just see John with a bunch of stab wounds in his back.
Yeah.
Or actually, I should say his chest, since he did kind of get stabbed in the spine.
Right.
Which I didn't notice that at first.
So Kate didn't have a chance to utilize the gun until she took it from Esther when they crashed through the roof into the greenhouse.
Yeah. I was going to say, I wondered why he collapsed like he did. I was thinking, it's like, did he feel like, I didn't even realize he got stabbed in the spine. I thought he got hit in the kidney. I thought it was just a kidney shot. I was like, oh. It's like, wow, how's he falling over like that then?
Yeah, she ended up getting a lot.
And then
she got a lot of stabs in.
The initial stab is when he fell over.
Yeah, true.
Where he started stumbling. He must have been like really out of it to fall over like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, he lasted longer than I thought after all them stabs. I was quite surprised.
Yeah, there was like 10 stabs or something.
I was like, wow. It's like, wow, he took that like a champ. He took them
Yeah.
first time like a true champ.
So that's the only reason why I think Esther actually could have killed John. Like, if he hadn't been drunk,
Yeah, no,
he
it
could
wouldn't
have
have. It would
easily
have.
overpowered her.
So
I mean, she also had a broken arm.
if we don't find ourselves in the most precarious situations, we have a good chance of getting through this and winning.
Like I said, we just dial that 911.
And don't
Yeah.
get
There's
killed.
a person in her house
and
that
don't
looks like
get
a child, but
and
they're
don't
actually
get
33.
Don't get killed before they get here.
Right. So that would just be that we would call the police, and then we would just have to wait it out.
Yep.
Even just like tying her down and binding her to like a staircase, and keeping an eye on her.
If it was possible. I mean, Rhombus can do that. He's a big, strong guy who can probably,
I mean, I think we'd all be able to do that though, because we're also a lot bigger than her.
Yeah.
We also have a size
She was
advantage.
pretty tough, though.
But yeah, she was very resilient.
Like, she got like a whole adult fell on her through a glass roof, and she still got up.
Mm-hmm.
Even, I mean, despite being very, very concussed at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was still chanking along, somehow not falling over. Because I've seen guys like twice her size, like Tua Tagovailoa from the Dolphins. He got hit one time, whacked his head off the turf, and got knocked out. He couldn't hardly walk. Like, he was stumbling.
And she was like running around with a goddamn knife through the middle of the woods.
I'm thinking like she either didn't have a severe concussion, or she's just tough. She's just got that Russian toughness about her.
Yep. And I mean, coming from that hospital and stuff, escaping, she ain't going down that easy.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Got to give Kate props though for
in that movie too, there wasn't a lot of team effort. Like, again, it was always like her 1v1ing somebody. There wasn't like,
because that's the only way she would have been able to take anybody down was 1v1.
right.
The minute we all gang up on her, she's doomed.
Yep.
Or I mean, even with the brother, she had to catch him off guard in order to be able to do anything, and had to disable him from being able to defend himself to have a chance.
Yeah,
Or at
because the
least-
only times we ever see her attack him was when he was asleep. She locked him in the treehouse and then tried to suffocate him with a pillow when he was already barely alive as is.
Right, he was on like life support pretty much.
Yeah. But they were able to thankfully save him from dying. So
Yep.
Yep, the doctors did their job.
they did well. They did well on that part.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good on them to catch it as quick as they did. Notice that he flatlined and then bang, they were there within seconds.
There should have been somebody there anyway. Like, they should have left him alone.
Yeah, I think that's standard procedure. I think they have to have at least a nurse there to check on him.
Somehow Lena just knew that one moment he'd be alone. Like,
right?
I know, like, I'm sure there are moments where he wouldn't have anyone around, but for that long, I doubt it.
Long enough for her to say, hey, can I go get money for a soda? And then, like, go to the soda machine, but then she really goes into his room, has enough time to suffocate him, and then get back to the soda machine before anybody notices.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you, when I was a child in the hospital, like, my parents were in there, but I was getting checked on, like, every 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, which it takes about, with a pillow to suffocate someone, it takes longer than 2 minutes. I can say that. It takes like 2.5, 3 minutes for them to go fully unconscious.
The thing about Lena here too is, like, even if one of us gets attacked by her, we do have a chance of fending her off if we're clear in the head and we're ready for it. Like, we're not under the influence or etc. Other things. If, like, we're ready to defend ourselves, we have a chance of fighting her off. So I think that makes us have a good chance to survive as well. We could fight her off.
Yeah, I think our best chance is capture, call the police, and then just keep an eye on her until they get there.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's hiding, though, it's going to be a little bit harder. Because she might try to flee, because that's usually how it would go. Is if things were really going wrong and she knew that she was not going to be able to get out of it, she would try to run.
Right.
Yeah.
Start over.
And if she tries to run through the woods, knowing that it's snowy out, she ain't going to get far.
Oh yeah, especially in that cold and all that.
As easy as it is to track someone, because it's very easy to track someone in the snow. It's not that hard. Literally, just you could see the footprints. They stick out like a sore thumb.
Yep.
You could just run after them. She wouldn't
Assuming
really be
she
able to
was
track
still sustaining the injuries from the greenhouse, she would be in a lot of pain with a broken arm as well, and
there
running
would be
through the
blood.
woods.
And there would be a small blood trail because as I don't know if you noticed, she was bleeding from the head.
Her face was
Her-
all scratched up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her face was all scratched up. She had a gash on her forehead from when she smacked her head off the ground when she got hit when Kate landed on her. So
Or wait, wasn't that from the elbow
it
when
may
they were
have been
underwater?
Yeah.
Because
Maybe.
she hit her once and got up, and that's when she's like, "Don't let me die, mommy." And that's when she got kicked.
And then-
I'm not your effing mommy. Whoppa.
Did you guys see like
then
the
when
neck bone though?
external-
That was gross.
Yeah.
that was like she must have kicked her really hard to be able to break her neck like that.
I feel like if you kick anyone's head
kicked her
up
in the
like that,
face.
it would.
Like realistic. I will say, getting kicked in the head like that, the way her head jerked back, I believe that would happen,
Yeah, it's plausible for sure.
and definitely neck damage for certain.
So it was assumed that Esther is not coming back. So do you guys think that we are looking forward to another orphan movie, or do you think that that was the end of Lena's reign?
Well, I think she would not survive long going down in that cold water and stuff. So my guess
Yeah.
would be that she's probably got that was the end. Unless they decide to do another movie.
I mean, that would make sense why they came out with a prequel instead of a sequel.
Right.
Yeah, that would explain it. Because they ain't surviving. She'd have to be literally just be Jason to be able to get out of that.
Even if she got out of there, her neck is like messed up.
And you would freeze to death quick. Like being in that water, you can't be in water that cold very long.
Yeah, because I remember Rhombus saying yesterday that he was impressed that Kate was still moving around after she got out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she'd have been freezing at that point. Like she would have been going through hypothermia at that point. As long as
you'd be going into shock pretty quick.
I will
The
say,
only thing I think that was like keeping her moving was her children.
Yeah.
I think it was adrenaline. It was mostly her children. And adrenaline was keeping her warm, but barely.
Yeah,
Just
the
barely warm up for
adrenaline of the fear that she was going to lose her children. That's what kept her just going.
And that she already lost John, so she was like in a fight to the end.
Mhm.
Considering she was wearing clothes in the water, because water underneath the ice is going to be warmer than the air up above. So it might have been a slight bit warmer under that water.
I just found it funny that after she got out, she picked up her kid. I'm like, no, why would you do that? Your kid's going to be cold.
So now you got the kid wet. Now you got the kid all soaked.
She was out there in bare feet too in the snow, like pajamas.
Yikes. She must have been had some adrenaline if she didn't get cold from that.
Yeah, Max, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised she picked up the gun. She's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Proceeds to shoot the ice instead.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go under.
I was thinking like
the recoil just like threw her back a foot.
Although I gotta give the little kid props for trying.
I know.
She's a brave one.
Yep,
Never
brave
a
kid.
gun in her entire young life, and she gave it a try.
Mhm.
Gave it a try and actually almost had a perfect accuracy rating on the first shot.
She was like worried probably about hitting her mom.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Although one could argue she still technically hit her mark. Because technically there were two places she could have shot. She could have either shot Lena or she could have shot the ice, and she shot the ice.
And the ice is what ended up. They went into the ice. So
Okay.
I think what Max's plan was to shoot the gun to kind of startle Lena.
That's fair, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think she was actually trying to hit anybody. I think she was actually just trying to freak out Lena enough for her mom to be able to get on top there.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's.
But I definitely think we have a good chance of stopping Lena Claimer.
Yeah.
True.
Does anyone have any final thoughts or comments or questions? Anything you think that we didn't explain well enough, or things that we missed that might have been a key?
Well, I am confident in our abilities versus Lena's. I feel like we can match her strength, we can match her mindset, and just keeping quiet and using our intelligence against us. I feel like
Yes,
just us in general, I'm confident that we have a good chance of getting through this. So that was just what
I think so as well.
I do. I do believe that we could make through. Yeah,
We might be a little injured, but
there might not go completely
I mean,
unscathed, but
if
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, I would rather prefer that she just goes back to the facility and we don't have to straight up kill her, because like, just
that's why I
go-
said capture, call the police, wait.
yeah, I'd rather not have to do it that way, like killing her. So
or we could use a very heavily plot armored ending and just send Dom after her.
yeah,
Send the
I mean,
power.
we already know that Rom is not against throwing boats at children, so
Yeah, no, I'll just throw a boat at her. I'll just throw something excessively heavy at her head. Just aim for the face. Just go.
that was
Wow.
that rock from earlier.
it's like you have no escape now. Just
Even a heavy ass boat made out of steel right at her face. Oh my God. Oh,
All right, well, I think we are going to wrap up season 1, episode 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. And do remember that our survival depends on you. So,
yeah.
leave a comment down below, Team Slasher for Lena or Team Survivor for us. And
Yep.
make sure you stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.
We'll see you then on the
Yep.
next episode.
Doodles.